I'm really excited this week to have a guest with us who does some prison in-reach, an amazing woman who's very passionate about her work. So here we are. Katie, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, don't worry about me. Yeah. How's things going? How's life?
Yeah, busy. Busy. The horrors persist, but so do we.
Well, it's nearly
Yeah.
the summer soon, so you'll be in the field, maybe doing some more
Absolutely.
outreach and stuff in that moment. All the wonderful places that we met.
Yeah.
So I met Katie doing some festival safeguarding and welfare, and that's how I've managed to rope her in this week into this week's interview. So I suppose first thing I want to ask you, Katie, as it is coffee and crime, how do you like your morning coffee? What's your morning routine for drinks and stuff?
The first thing I have to do upon waking is have a strong black coffee.
Strong black coffee.
To face the day.
Okay. Yeah.
And unfortunately a cigarette as well.
And a cigarette. That's all right. You can say that. You can say that. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Several strong black coffees later, I am ready to face the world, and that's just how it is.
I couldn't think of anything worse. I've called this podcast Coffee and Crime, and I absolutely hate coffee. I love the smell.
Yeah.
Hate the taste. I do. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I would have thought you'd be like a black coffee kind of guy.
Maybe a tea.
Tea.
That's it, really.
I see. I used to be strictly a tea girl, but you know.
I don't even drink that much anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I'm black coffee girl all the way. Can't put a sugar anywhere near it.
Oh really? Oh, I love sugar.
Horrible. No.
See, I'm gonna have to start. I think I'll start trying some guests' coffee in the coming weeks.
Broaden your coffee mind, Prav.
Yeah, just ruin the studio by spitting up the coffee that I've tried. But well, Katie is a prison in-reach and recovery worker. Would that technically be correct? So I suppose, Katie, why and how did you end up there?
It's been a bit of a meandering journey, really. I won't bore you with it, but I had a bit of a career change. I was a florist for 10 years.
Was you actually?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, and I had my own business towards the end of it, and then COVID hit, and I kind of got to the end of that chapter. So I started volunteering with a homelessness charity in Worcester, where I'm based. And, got a job there working with some of the more complex cohort, entrenched rough sleepers with co-occurring mental health, substance stuff. Really enjoyed that. Moved on from there to start to work for the current organisation that I work for, with the commissioned service to do substance recovery within Worcestershire. So as part of that, I started off as mat cover, and then a position became available to do the prison in-reach. So
nice.
I thought, that sounds pretty cool.
No, 100%. And you say recovery and substances and all these things that for the audience probably going to ring a different notion for all of them, and people are probably going, well, those services aren't working, you can't probably be doing anything. So do you want to explain maybe what that kind of looks like a little bit in terms of the recovery and stuff, so people are aware?
Yeah, so I think there's kind of a couple of schools of thought around what recovery actually means.
Yeah.
And I think on the one hand, you have the kind of very abstinence-based, NA, AA, Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous.
Yep.
And then you have the more harm reductionist side, which kind of says people are going to take substances. How are we going to help them do that safely to minimise risk, death, and also cost to the public purse, essentially?
Yeah, and maybe the NHS.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And then I think, as a service, I think we kind of meet in the middle. For the people that want abstinence-based recovery, psychosocial work to help them achieve that. For the people that aren't at that stage, we'll provide things like needle exchange, naloxone provision, which is a opioid reversal.
Nah, you beat me to it.
So it's looking at how can we reduce literally the harm of taking substances to that cohort. My particular job is to kind of improve the continuity of care, we call it, from people that are in prison as they come back out into community, and vice versa if they're in that kind of revolving door, giving the feedback to prison staff around the treatment they've had in community to hopefully influence the kind of treatment they continue to have
So would you say that's kind of a multi-agency, so multiple kind of services, people working together? Is that what that is?
In an ideal world,
Yeah.
Prav,
Yeah, I suppose in that sense we are talking idealistically, aren't we? I suppose that everything works and flows how it should. But on paper, is that what people out there would know as a multi-agency kind of holistic approach?
We, sharing the right information that's appropriate and proportional, obviously, with a view to improving the outcomes for people that are using substances. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So you've outlined some of your role there and kind of what it takes and what it's about. You've also mentioned maybe some new things coming in, I suppose, with kind of treatments and stuff. What would you say are those kind of challenges and barriers you're seeing faced with your service and area at the moment?
I think it's the biggest one that I see in my particular cohort that I work with, my caseload, is housing. Housing is, for me, the issue.
So when you say housing, do you want to explain?
Lack thereof.
Lack thereof for who?
For the prison population that I work with that are coming in and out, specifically, you know, a lot of people that engage in things like shoplifting to fund their habit. They're in for 2 weeks, out for 2 weeks. In for it's that revolving door of low risk offending. Is often linked to the fact that they're homeless, and there isn't the housing provision for people experiencing that kind of life. To help them stop the offending behaviours.
So is it that there's not enough housing? Is it keeping them in a suitable location? Is it the reintegration?
All of the above.
All of it.
All of it.
Do you want to
maybe
give
It sounds it sounds like an impossible thing. And a lot of times, I'll be honest, it is, because we come in as key workers to do that kind of psychosocial work with people, which is to look at the reasons why people are taking substances, you know, in a way that is detrimental to them, and continue to do that even though they know it's detrimental to them. And it's impacting their life. And the things that we identify with people usually is, you know, mental health, history of complex trauma, being care leavers, and insufficient housing. And insufficient quality housing that meets their needs. So the area that I work in geographically has a real lack of supported housing. Virtually none. And
when you say supported housing, is that where there is people in there to live with them and support them? Or
so for example, if you in Worcester, we've got a great place called St Paul's Hostel. They have staff on site 24/7. And they have, you know, a counselling service. I think they started doing hypnotherapy.
Nice.
And they link in closely with housing officers, with mental health services, with us as treatment providers. And the area of Worcestershire that I work in, we just don't have that. And it's a real postcode lottery. About, so if you're from Redditch, let's say, and you go into HMP Hughes,
which is where
Redditch.
It is Redditch.
It's a remand prison. So people who before they've been convicted, before court, etc., they'll be remanded there, or for short sentences for more lower level crimes, and you have, you know, a lot of complex mental health problems. That are undiagnosed. You're only in there for a couple of weeks. You're not getting those sorted. You're coming out to the same environment. If you're street homeless, you'll be released street homeless. And that's where we tend to lose people, if you like. Disengagement is a really big problem when people are experiencing those kinds of challenges.
Why is there a big disengagement in these services or those spaces?
I think it's several things. I think there's the population I work with, there's a real lack of trust of services. And that can be for a number of reasons. It can be because they've been in the system a very long time, in and out of prison.
Even for those with petty crimes, you're seeing them kind of come through regularly.
Yeah. And I think as well, it's all lived experience, right? So for a lot of people I work with, prison's not a threat. It's not.
Why not?
They get a roof over their head.
They
get 3 meals a day. they're safe to a degree, safer than they are on the street.
Okay, and because you were mentioning homeless, so is that more of a viable place for them over the weekend or in the winter? Do you see a kind of spike in those times?
I mean, I'm not sure if we see a spike, but I definitely see more conversations with the clients that I work with that are street homeless around people say, you know, I don't want to be out here. I don't want to access the provision for cold weather. It's -2.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go on a shoplifting spree, so I can get sent down for 2 to 4 weeks. So yeah, I do have more of those conversations when it is colder, worse weather. I don't know whether that is the same for everybody or a very particular subset of the cohort who are more entrenched.
So we do generally, talking more broadly, social science, we do see more homeless doing those kind of crate robs from Tesco's at the front door to get caught and whatnot during those kind of festive or colder periods. That is something that probably spans past just yourselves in terms of services. Yeah. So we were talking about how funding can be a big problem, housing them in location as well. What's the troubles with housing somebody far away from where they might be based?
It's a complete lack of support, a lack of what they know, people that they know, and in some cases, as professionals, we look at that and go, great, let's move you out of area because. The cohort that you're with now is all centred around problematic substance use.
Yes.
And you might have some serious traumas that have happened in this physical environment, so it makes sense for you to start somewhere new and rebuild.
Yeah.
But then I kind of imagine if that was me and I'd been through some really traumatic stuff, and then I had to relocate to an area where I don't know anybody, would I want to do that?
No.
So it's, for me, a lot of the stuff that we deal with prison leavers and some of their choices, and it's about their perception of risk, and it's completely different to ours.
Yeah. So how do you see their perception of risk and their values of the world and stuff being different to yours?
I think, well, that's kind of two things really. I mean, their perception of risk is, again, like I said previously, prison's not a threat. It's actually a safer option than being on the street or within a cohort where you might owe somebody money or been threatened or whatever it is, and you or I might look at something like injecting heroin into your groin, right, as a particularly risky thing to do.
Yes, especially if you don't like needles.
Exactly. But for somebody that's gone in their arms, gone in their legs, gone in their feet, gone in their hands, that's not as big a risk.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's all kind of their learnt perception of what is risky. And I think something that we need to understand more is that the risks for them about trusting professionals can be higher than disengaging, if that makes sense. If they've been let down by social services, say, if they've been in care and that's been horrible and traumatic, or they've had kids removed themselves, then they've had no support with that kind of stuff. Services equal risk.
Yeah.
That it's not how we feel about the service we're providing, not necessarily how people perceive services as a whole.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, and I can't remember the other part of the.
Well, just their construction as well. That's fine. No, just in terms of their construction and stuff. So you've kind of hit that with those things. But why that lack of trust in services then? Why the disengagement?
I think for the cohort that I work with, there's 99.9% of them, I would say, have had some kind of childhood trauma, which either led to them being institutionalised in terms of being placed in care.
And when you say institutionalised, what do you mean by that?
Put into the foster system, the care home system, and a lot of those people report that things happen in care homes which shouldn't happen in care homes, and that's sort of part of this what we call compound trauma, trauma on a trauma on a trauma on a trauma, which we know from studies leads to a certain set of behaviours or a predisposition to a certain set of behaviours.
Right. And is there an actual list of these set behaviours, or is there just a kind of...
well, if you look at ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, the percentages of, people that are more likely to engage in risk-taking behaviours, for example, which can include risky sex, risky drug taking, is much higher for those that have an ACE score of over 4 or 5, I think. So
when you say, sorry, do you want to just go through those scores? What do you mean by scores?
So if you, there's a list, you can do a quiz online.
Yeah.
There's a list of a certain, I can't remember them all off the top of my head, of adverse childhood experiences. So violence in the home is one of them, financial worries, neglect, one or both parents taking substances, a parent incarcerated, lots of things of that nature. So childhood sexual abuse.
Yeah.
If you kind of answer those questions and then you get a score of, which is known as your ACE score.
Right.
So the clients that I'm working with, they will have much higher ACE scores. And the research has shown the higher the ACE score, the more likely you are to engage in, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Deviant behaviours.
Yeah, I think that was,
Yeah, which is an interesting word.
It is an interesting word. Yeah, because I suppose that's subjective to you, isn't it? And what you deem, like you said earlier, risky or non-risky. So from a criminology perspective, deviancy would be something that is kind of blurring the lines between legal and illegal, I suppose. The analogy I use with my students is going to Amsterdam. Is it really illegal? Because it's legal there, what I might be or might not be engaging with. So it's all those things, isn't it? I suppose then it becomes very subjective. I suppose then does that shape the way you deliver support based on how they perceive deviancy, risk, whatever?
Absolutely, yeah, because you have to meet people where they are. There's no point I don't think, being dogmatic about well, you either want recovery or you don't, because there's lots of shades of grey.
Apparently there's about 50 of them.
Yeah. Don't know, never seen it, don't plan to, thank you very much. Yeah, so you can't, recovery's not linear, we know that, and recovery's not black and white.
Yeah, I suppose it's not stagnant either.
It's not, no, it's ever changing, and the ways in which we tackle it have to change. And particularly, my colleagues on the youth team, they see very different challenges to the ones that we look at in the adult team. So, it's you have to adapt to the challenges that present, and that's influenced by loads of different things. Global economics, global wars. The supply of heroin, for example, gone right down.
Well, there was a ban on opium, wasn't there, in Afghanistan for the last couple of years, which has kind of shifted where that's coming from in the UK. So now we're seeing a lot more of the kind of I would say it's scarier actually, because it's a we know heroin by and large, but we're seeing opioids that are coming onto the market that are some of them 500 times stronger than fentanyl. Synthetic opioids made in a lab. And we have to adapt our guidance and our harm reduction advice accordingly, because especially with some of the old timers that I've been smoking heroin for years, I know what I'm doing, that are resistant to things like taking naloxone home with them and stuff like that. Oh, I only smoke it, you can't overdose it. You can. Okay.
People have, and they will continue to do
and
so.
Naloxone's anti-overdose.
You can either have nasal naloxone, goes up the nose, or IV naloxone, which is almost looks like an EpiPen, but it's not don't stab with it.
Right, okay.
So it's a injectable opioid reversal. Stops you continuing to overdose. So it just pushes the opioids out of the receptors in your brain.
Right.
For a bit.
Yeah, okay.
And then you can go back into...
Right.
So it's important you keep dosing. And
so it's the hope, bring them out, get them support, and then you can
get them an ambulance, get them where they need to be. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So people are sometimes resistant to that because, if they've been doing something for a long time and they're not understanding that the landscape has changed and what they're taking is changing, that can be quite tricky. So it's about giving them the information without being patronising.
Yeah, of course.
Because they do know a hell of a lot about their drug of choice or drugs of choice. But it's just being straight up with people.
Yeah.
And we can help people send things off for testing to Edenos, which is a testing facility.
Right.
Based at Cardiff Uni, I think.
Okay, excellent.
So we can say, if you want to know what you're taking, if you're going to take stuff, and it's not hurting anybody except you, that's your choice.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's try and do it safely.
Yeah,
let's see what's actually in there. And that can be quite surprising for people, both what's actually in their gear.
Yeah, yeah.
And also that you have that approach.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I think the way we're thinking about substance takers is changing slowly.
Is that what you've seen in the work you've been doing?
Yeah.
Or yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I working with other agencies, for example, there seems to be very recently, more of a want to understand the cohort and work with us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Instead of being like, whoop, that's substance, that's your bag.
Yeah, yeah.
No pun intended. It's not mental health, it's substance. Sorry, no, goodbye.
Yeah, okay,
To actually say, this is probably a chicken and egg situation of like, what came first.
Unless you read that recent study that came out the other day that said it has to be a chicken. Yeah, literally.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the chicken creates protein, so it had to come first. There was literally a study about a week ago.
Right. I mean, I would say that mental health issues usually come first.
Yeah, there
to
you go.
be honest, and then comes the coping mechanism of taking substances in a dangerous way. So the chicken came first, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think there is more of a willingness to understand and work with support agencies and with people that use substances.
Yeah.
Not across the board.
No.
And going back to it being a bit of a postcode lottery.
Yeah. So does it depend where you are in terms of county or city?
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not like the government or whoever create a kind of framework, but you can adapt that, but you're all following the same thing.
I think there is a framework.
Right.
That's possibly open for interpretation.
It's very ambiguous, would you say?
I would say yes.
Okay.
And this filters down through lots of different bodies, down to local authorities, commissioners, services. So yeah.
So by the time it gets to you, it's as bad as the gear that you're trying to support people off, essentially, because it's been so diluted. And
it's hard in our little world, our little role. That's to do the treatment work that we want to do with people, we need to do with people without the buy-in from other agencies.
Yeah.
If we don't have buy-in from housing, from mental health, it's impossible.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because if I was living on the street, for example, and I have some really horrific experiences in my childhood that I can't forget.
Yeah. Or that you might not be aware of,
Yeah.
Just to chime in a little bit, because feel like I'm sitting here. But you look at young people, and because that's my area of so-called expertise, you don't know if you've been a victim of crime or abuse or whatever until you're made aware. If that's what you've grown up in, if that's all you're kind of around, then that's all you know, and you think it's quite normal, your house structure, don't you? Is that kind of where you
totally.
are with it?
Yeah, absolutely. And then they get to be teenagers, and then they get to be adults and wonder why they're not able to operate in society in a way that society's going to appreciate,
Yeah,
100%. Well, this is how, my dad used to get pissed and beat people up in the pub, and that's what I've learned. But now I'm 16 and I'm doing the same things, and I'm being sent to juvie, and they can't operate in the world that's around them if they have that lived experience. And that's when I think, like you said, they learn, oh, right.
That moment where you go, this isn't normal.
That wasn't normal. Oh, no. But I've already learned all the stuff. How do I unlearn it? And no one's there ready to have that conversation with them necessarily, I don't think.
No, yeah, exactly. I think, look, you've made some amazing points there, and you've kind of spoke around housing, kind of trust in services, but then I suppose with lots of things in crime, criminology, social science more broadly, how are your services keeping up with that change? Because it's always evolving. You said it's not stagnant. How are you?
Yeah, well, I know there's different arms to our service that work in different areas. I know that some of the services they have in Birmingham, they have housing specifically, which we don't have in Worcestershire.
Okay.
But I think that's a response to, right, there's a real lack of, like I said, previously supported housing for people that are trying to manage their substance use.
Yeah, yeah.
I know there's other organisations like Emerging Futures, for example, that have recovery-based housing, and to meet different stages of recovery.
Right. So is there like checkpoints and
Yeah,
stuff?
So that model of right, well, someone's still actively using.
Yeah.
They want to address it, and in order to do that, we have to give them a safe place to live.
Yeah.
So what I suppose you would call a wet house.
What would that be? Sorry.
So where someone can still use substances,
right? Yeah,
or be using, not
Mhm.
necessarily at the property, but can still be, you know, so if they're drug tested and it's positive, they won't get evicted.
Right.
Essentially.
Okay.
And the next phase of that is then, you know, let's say you've stopped using street heroin,
Mhm.
you're on a methadone prescription,
Mhm.
or another opioid substitute therapy. You go into a different set of housing.
Right.
For people that are doing the same
Yeah,
as
yeah.
you.
Uh-huh.
And then after that, if you want to come off that treatment and be totally abstinent,
Yeah.
you move on to a different kind of housing. So
Right.
there's different stages of housing for
Mhm.
people at different stages of their recovery. And I think that makes really good sense. As long as the funding is there and the support is there and the staffing is there,
Yeah.
I think it's a really positive way of doing it.
So then you were saying they get drug tested, and if they're found to be using, they're okay in that situation.
Mhm.
What's the other side of that then? If they're using in a house or whatever where they
yeah,
shouldn't
yeah.
be.
If they're then using in a property where abstinence is part of the tenancy agreement, then they're out.
So then what does that cause? What challenges are there? How often do we see that?
I don't really know, actually.
Well, in your experience.
In my
sorry.
experience, I mean, the challenge then becomes around what the local authorities' response.
Yeah, okay.
Because you then have another person that's street homeless.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have, in housing, you can present as homeless, and they have their sort of, you know, emergency duty, if you will,
Yeah.
to house somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
Whilst they investigate if they are actually homeless.
Right.
So I think that's the kind of relief duty period.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they accept that they have a local connection to the area,
Yeah, yeah.
which is based on a number of factors, and if they accept that they are homeless, then they have a main duty to house them.
Yeah.
If, however, during that period of investigation around your homelessness, you're found to be intentionally homeless,
Right.
that can then mean that they can discharge their duty to house you.
And just leave you.
And then it's up to kind of looking at private landlords, which that's when we see some really terrible housing options for people a lot of the time.
And these are meant to be accredited landlords and stuff, and you're saying they're worse.
I would, in my experience, once somebody is at the point where the local authority has said, well, you were in an abstinence-based property, for example,
yeah,
and you were tested positive for opioids.
Yeah.
You're out. You're homeless.
Mm.
That was your choice.
Mm.
You're intentionally homeless because you made that choice.
Right.
So then they can say, well, we don't have a duty to house you because, you know, you had this option, you screwed it up, ta-ta. We can maybe support you with some funding for a private tenancy.
Yep.
Here is a list of providers, have HMOs. And you can imagine what some of these HMOs are like.
I can.
When it's quite often people who, you know, have had their last chance with housing and shoved into this environment.
Mm.
Some of the landlords are great.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't.
And are these specific HMOs for your service users, or are they ones that me and you could jump into?
We could go.
So they could be mixed
I
with...
wouldn't recommend it, Brav, but we could go.
They could be mixed in with me and you, as an example, or, you know,
Yeah.
a doctor who's come from abroad, whatever.
Yeah.
So they could be mixed in with everyday people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because then it's private market. It's private rental.
Yeah.
Once the local authorities sort of said...
No.
No.
I just didn't know if the government or local authorities were kind of having registered ones that were for your people as a last chance.
No, they're not kind of affiliated with the council,
Right.
but I think there is an understanding potentially of you'll take people that are on universal credit and might have some ASB on antisocial behaviour on their housing record.
So then are they cheaper for them? Or are they going to pay the same price as me and you in that house?
It'll be a housing element of a universal credit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it'd be cheaper. Yeah. Nice. Well, nice for them.
Yeah.
But no, it seems...
So that's one of the real challenges, I think, is like I mentioned before, and I will keep banging on about housing because I'm
Well, let's put it this way. Why do you see housing as a essential voice for today?
It's basic human need.
Yeah.
Basic human need. if you look at the hierarchy of needs, you know, when you first do any kind of sociology study, whip out the old Maslow.
Well, probably don't mention Maslow. Sorry, can we not mention Maslow because he's old and dated, and he disproved himself. So can we mention something else?
But my point is, having access to safe accommodation, that's so crucial for so many people.
Yeah.
Because it gives you a sense of safety.
Mm.
And what I see, the people that I work with, they don't feel safe, hardly ever. And that's trauma response stuff. So if you can give somebody a base from which to work with, it's a housing first model.
Yeah.
You know, house someone first.
Yeah.
Wraparound support to tackle all the issues.
Right. Yeah.
You know, which I do think, with the right funding and the right amount of support, a housing first model is great.
Yeah. So you've mentioned funding a few times as well. Obviously, it's on the tip of everybody's tongue in the current world that we are in. But away from housing, where else is that kind of hindering your service in terms of being able to provide stuff, I suppose, for the users? Like, how much would a normal kind of everyday recovery program kind of cost, a decent one for them? Obviously, we're not talking to the penny.
I think in terms of inpatient,
it's
hideously expensive, you know, and that's, maybe hideous is the wrong word, because it's, you know, it's a good option for people. I don't want to be disparaging about
no,
rehab.
but the more expensive it is, surely the better the service is, hopefully, and therefore less people need to use it a second, third, fourth,
you'd
fifth
hope so,
time.
So it is very cost prohibitive, and I think this financial year our service has seen less funding coming down to us for rehab, for detox. We are part of something called the West Midlands Framework.
Okay.
Which means we have kind of a pot of funding that's utilised to send people to detox at a number of different specific treatment providers. Doesn't include rehab.
Right.
So I think, the access to ongoing treatment, because detox is one thing.
Yes.
You can detox somebody off
substances. Yeah, you can have 2-3 weeks detox. Yeah.
You're medically detoxed from the substance.
Yeah.
But we know that addiction is not just the physical. Yeah, people don't want to rattle off heroin without any support. Of course they don't. Because the withdrawal of heroin is awful. Yeah. And I wouldn't, you know, when I've this kind of states I've seen people in when they're rattling, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. It's horrendous. Yeah. You can do that medically managed 2 weeks. But you're not getting to the root of why we've got there in the first place. And unless you figure out the why, you can't enact any change.
And I suppose then as well, you're not putting in any support mechanisms for them when they're in that moment, how to pull back, reset, whatever kind of words you want to use. It kind of leaves them to handle that because technically...
Well, what you're essentially doing, you're taking away someone's only coping mechanism for their experience of the world. Yeah. And going, well, best of luck. Good luck to you. Figure it out. Don't use drugs again.
Yeah. And I suppose our rehab's in a bit of bother with it because we had transforming rehabilitation. I think that lasted till 2019, 2020. They pulled it about 18 months earlier than it should have been pulled, which in the long run will cost the taxpayers around 400 million for what they didn't achieve and didn't do. That's the Ministry of Justice in that sense who pulled out of that one, transforming rehabilitation. And you, like you said, money. I think we're looking at around 60,000 tops to house a prisoner in this country. And if we look at it compared to Norway as example, Norway, it costs about 90,000 for their course and their programme, but nobody goes back again. That's the big difference. They changed their adoption or approach to rehab in the 90s and dropped their recidivism rates from however high it was down to low 40s where it's stayed since. Netherlands as well doing a fantastic job, and Norway are the leaders of prisons and stuff, I suppose.
But interestingly, Norway has a very progressive approach towards homelessness. They don't, if someone is homeless, they house them.
No, they can, I suppose, would be the other side of it. Whereas in this country, it's illegal to be homeless. It is. It's against the law. The Vagrancy Act basically states you can't be homeless and you get moved to another city because that will eradicate the problem.
Yeah.
Which is why you see them moving from north to south all year, I suppose, because they just get pushed on.
Yeah,
I remember a guy in Swansea, talking to him. It was Christmas time. It was when I was lecturing down there. All of a sudden, mid-conversation, I've got to go, mate. There's an officer over there. He's going to move me to Cardiff. How does that help? You've been moved all the way down to Swansea. Now they're just moving you all the way back up through the North Channel. It doesn't really help, does it? It goes back to the point you were saying that where's the trust in a service if they're looking at officers and everyone else in between with fear? I suppose maybe as well, does that lack of trust come from a lack of retention of staff?
Yes, I would say so. It's definitely an issue. Yeah.
Where do you find the issue with that? Like, if I'm a service user, I'm coming in to see you for 4 weeks. It's great. Then you've gone off to have a baby for 12 months or you've found a new job or whatever. What's the impact for me there?
I think I imagine it would reinforce pre-existing thoughts and feelings around yourself. Around rejection.
Yeah.
Around your worthiness of being supported consistently and appropriately. I think that would, that change of worker thing is something we hear a lot.
Yeah.
As something that people really, really hate about services.
So then why aren't staff staying? Sorry, I'm not trying to make you lose your job.
We get ever so tired.
Yeah.
It's an exhausting job.
Yeah, of course, no doubt. And where's that tiredness?
The caseloads are outrageous. So
when you say caseload, what's that?
So the caseload of people, on a list of clients on each individual key worker will have a list of clients that they work with. And that will be based on a number of different factors, whether it's based around a GP surgery area that they cover or something like that. Or for me and my direct colleague, we cover different geographical areas of prison releases. And I think the highest I heard of in our organisation, when there was a lot of staffing problems, someone was up to 90 clients.
And what should you be? That was my other question. What should in an ideal world that you keep saying, with funding and everything else, where would you be caseload wise? Where should you be?
So much less than that.
Do they tell you what your load should be?
I mean, I'm not sure what the target is for that team.
Yeah.
But I know for prison in reach, we shouldn't really be any higher than 25.
And what are you operating at?
At the moment, I'm on 38.
Right.
Which is difficult.
Yeah. Why?
It has been higher.
Yeah.
And it depends on what the proportion of them, if they're in prison or if they're in community, because those come with separate challenges. And it depends on the area that you're working in, and what the solutions around homelessness and mental health are.
Yeah.
That all influences how difficult the job is. And I think the expectation around meeting certain targets in order to keep contracts is a big thing.
Is it what's the word I'm looking for? Is it a pit of people all fighting for the same thing, should we say?
There are lots of different organisations who will want to bid for these kinds of contracts.
And do you know some of these companies?
Yeah.
Is it the classic ones?
So in terms of community treatment, much smaller charities generally. Some will be more national, like we are more. We cover lots of different areas across the country. Some are smaller and cover also areas across the country, but smaller amounts of places. So there are different organisations that want to bid for the commissioned substance use treatment stuff.
For the right to be able to run the services and the programmes.
Yeah, and I don't know much about how that goes down.
I don't think anybody does.
No, and I just know that the stats matter massively.
So it's a data-driven...
I guess it has to be to evidence that you're doing what you're doing. Do I like it? No.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get into treatment work and support work to...
quantify data.
quantify the people that I work with experiences of treatment. I didn't.
Yeah.
I understand that it has to happen.
Yeah.
But I think from speaking to people that have been in treatment services much longer than I have, there's a big change that's happened.
Yeah.
It is much more data driven. It is much more, objective based.
That's interesting, because not talking about you and your company here, obviously the data says what we're doing isn't working. Since reoffending rates are so high, first 12 months, first 5 years, you look at those two sets of data, prison population is just about to hit 90,000, which is lower than Germany, who has 20 million less population. So the data says it's not working. So for you, why isn't it working? Bar the things you've obviously already clearly
housing, mental
articulated.
health.
Yeah.
All of that's huge. I think there are certain things that to me don't make sense, such as the 2-week recall.
Okay, what's that?
So if you commit a crime, you're sentenced, you're found guilty, you're sentenced, you might do, so say you get sentenced to 12 months, you'll do, if it's a non-violent crime, you'll do 40% of that sentence in prison. You might be eligible for early release on tag or something like that, or to an approved premises, specifically for people coming out of prison. Once you come out of prison, you'll do the rest of your sentence on a licence under a probation officer. If you commit further offences during that time, or if you fail to engage with substance use services, if that's part of your licence agreement that you sign, you don't go to your probation appointments that you have to, again, that's in your licence agreement. It's a contract essentially to say, yes, I will do the rest of my sentence in community instead of in prison, and here's the rules I will follow. If you don't do that, you can be recalled to prison, which again is all about managing risk for the probation service. If they can't manage your risk, you're not doing what you need to do, back to prison you go. More recently, they're only really doing 2-week recalls. They're not doing recalling people to the end of their licence. And
that's because?
It's a good question.
Okay, so why do you think?
I think it's because the prisons are full.
Yes, they are.
Male prisons are extremely full. And it is expensive.
Yeah.
A 2-week recall for the guys and girls I work with,
I suppose it just gives them even more distrust.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, prison's not a threat. Oh, well, 2 weeks back inside. Go on the induction wing for 2 weeks, which I would do anyway, and then I'll come straight back out.
Yeah, so like you said, prison is very full. You know, in the 90s, we looked at around 40,000 prisoners. Now we're about to just hit the 90,000 mark, so it's pretty much doubled in that time frame. And if you look at France, with a similar population, they have a lot less prisoners than us, around 20,000 less than us at the moment, current times. And you're saying things like, prison isn't working, it's overcrowded. We had a kind of initiative to build more spaces and places for people. Out of the couple of thousand places they said they were going to build for people, so far, 3 years into that 5-year project, they've built 500. So we can't keep up with it. Recovery isn't working as well, which then kind of leaves them with minimal to kind of little options, doesn't it, I suppose, from what you're saying. And
I think as well, in terms of the prison staff retention for prison guards is extremely poor, because it's a stressful environment in a prison for everybody there. You know, for the prisoners, for staff going in, for the main staff there.
What stresses do you see? Because you go in, don't you?
Yeah. From prisoners, I see, you know, if you want something, you want to do something, you want to do a course, you want to go to AA, whatever you want to do in the prison, put an application in.
Right. And what's the trouble there?
I put an app in 3 weeks ago. I've heard nothing.
And can they all fill in that application with no trouble?
Generally speaking, yeah.
Generally,
There's
they're okay.
Enough printouts in the office, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's slow moving, and I think that frustrates people. And I think the isolation as well that people feel if it's say for their first time in prison, that's really tough.
Well, they think the stats are 50% of their time is in the cell, and that increases to just under 70% on the weekend. So they spend 70% of their time, or 50 to 70% of their time, in a cell built for one in the 90s, well, in the Victorian era, with 3 people in. Yeah. It's lovely. At least there's a toilet for one of them to sit on.
It's not fit for purpose.
No.
And my personal feeling is, I wonder why we are sending people that don't commit violent crimes to prison.
Yeah.
Shoplifting
seems to be the way.
Why are we sending people to prison for shoplifting? Yes, it's illegal. Yes, you shouldn't do it. I get that. Why aren't we looking at the reasons why people are doing it?
Yeah.
And
I suppose that's the disconnect.
Completely.
You're talking about, well, we're talking about social science, which is all about the root cause. It's finding that root cause and kind of eliminating it, minimalising it, make people aware of it. Whereas as a country, historically, we are only bothered about punitive. Can we blame somebody? Somebody's been blamed. Let's all move on.
Yeah.
Doesn't fix anything. I mean...
And I think that's the challenge, is we know what we could achieve as a country if our policies were more like Norway, more like Netherlands. But so much around policy making is about public perception and public will.
Or votes.
Votes, exactly. Yeah. And not sending criminals to prison, Prav. Very unpopular.
Why are you saying that like I'm a criminal?
But that's the consensus is...
Yeah, it is.
You've committed a crime, go to jail.
Yeah.
Jail's not a punishment for people anymore.
No.
Especially people that shoplift.
It's also not a place for repair, from what you're saying.
Absolutely. But I wonder how much people really buy into the idea of reducing recidivism and recovering and, stopping reoffending.
Well, if you look at it, you're talking about these programmes and money and stuff like that. We're losing around 13 billion a year on reoffending. So even if we spent an extra £10,000 on each prisoner, still probably be cheaper if they didn't reoffend. Norway again got rid of life sentences because they're pointless. Got rid of them. Yeah. They don't do anything. But again, why don't we follow these models is the true question. They've been doing this from the 80s, 90s, adapting, changing, but yet we don't want to follow them. So we're one of the richest countries in the world, but we've got no money for reform. We will come up in the top 6 of education, but we can't educate our prisoners when they have only education to have and look forward to. It seems very strange, doesn't it, when you look at all those stats, all those data, all them things, and then we go, I don't know how to help them.
I think for me it comes down to how much value we place as a society on the lives of people that engage in behaviours that we don't like.
And I think that's the key point. Historically, we don't like them.
Historically, we don't like them.
Yeah.
I had an interesting conversation with someone who will remain nameless, who I'm close to, a couple of months ago, about harm reduction.
Oh, I think I know this person.
I don't know if you do, actually.
Oh, okay.
No. But the conversation was, because I was talking a bit about my role and about what we provide as a service, and I said about harm reduction, needle exchange, safer smoking advice, for people that smoke crack or heroin on a pipe, for example. And they kind of looked at me like, is that not just encouraging them?
Yeah, that's the thing we hear with harm reduction. Yeah,
I said, well, they're doing it anyway, so why wouldn't we reduce the risks? Well, I just feel like that's encouraging them. If you're giving them needles and places to inject, then they're just going to do it more.
That's the things my students say in their lectures.
Yeah, I said they're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Except this way, they're going to get less leg ulcers. They're going to get less Hep C, HIV, which costs the NHS millions of pounds. Yeah. And even on that, the evidence of this is going to reduce costs from your taxpayers, even if you're not valuing this person as a human being, which is
value bank check
questionable. You value your tax money, look at it from that angle, and it's still. And the response was, I still don't like it.
And it obviously, the other side of it as well, it helps ambulances. They're not being called out.
Absolutely.
There's more to distribute.
Yeah.
There's a cleaner community. There's
Totally.
a better understanding of these people. There's all those things. And it's funny, isn't it? You start pitching it back to people and all of a sudden it's no.
But they go, I still don't like it.
Yeah.
So do you not like the idea of helping people not die?
Yeah.
That's it. To me, it's such a weird concept that when we have these things available that we know reduce risk for people, reduce burden on services, why wouldn't we do them? Because we don't value these people as human beings.
No, they're not seen as that, are they? You've spoke about, I suppose, reintegration, settling them into housing services, rebuilding trust. But the problem is we label everything, and it's getting worse with the younger generations, the whole idea of labelling everything and having a point and reason for stuff. But they're always offenders. Even if you've served your time, even if it is a miscarriage of justice, wrongful conviction, a petty crime, like you're saying, you're always a criminal. You never lose that tag. Even if you try and use it in a positive vein, or just other people in the street. And I think that's the biggest thing in terms of what you've spoken around. It's how do we leave them alone almost in terms of the label that's been pinned on them. And historically, like you said, we don't like drug users, we don't like criminals. The consequence of that, though, is we have the highest incarceration rate in Western Europe and of English-speaking countries. It's only US and New Zealand that have more incarcerated than us. So, I mean, let that sink in. It clearly tells you it's not working.
But then if we have a society that doesn't really value people, then the political will's never going to be there to invest in rehabilitation, earnest rehabilitation.
But I think it should have happened 30, 40 years ago, like all the other countries.
Yeah.
We've seen it through history. Collapse, go again. Collapse, go again. COVID, we're not letting people into prisons. So we're playing catch-up on catch-up on catch-up. It's costing the taxpayer billions.
Yeah, but then you say to a taxpayer, we could save you money by doing this. And they still go, I don't know. Because I've othered those people. Yeah. And they're in that box for me now.
Yeah.
And what they deserve is not the same as me.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge, changing public perception around people who commit offences, and recognising the victims. Absolutely. It has to be based on risk.
Yeah, it's got to be holistic. It's got to look at everybody.
Of course, yeah. And there has to be more support for victims, particularly with domestic offences. We are seeing that being pushed more, which I think is good. Non-fatal strangulation has now become a thing of its own.
Yeah, asphyxiation and stuff like that.
So that's, people are taking that more seriously. But where is the increase in funding for programmes like Drive that work with domestic abuse perpetrators?
Okay, yeah.
To help them look at why they're doing it. We run a service called Men and Masculinities, which is a 12-week course. 10 or 12-week course.
But is that common, 10, 12 weeks? Is that what most of them are?
Generally speaking, I think Drive can be more ongoing. And that's via sort of probation that has to go through different panels that assess risk of perpetrators. Men and Masculinities, you can self-refer.
Yeah.
That help you examine why you might behave in a certain way.
Yeah.
I think that should be everywhere.
Yeah.
I think that if we want a healthier, happier, more functioning society, we've got to find the why.
Yeah, so we've kind of, you've highlighted that this, I suppose, for audience members listening might think prison is a one-way thing, recovery, one-way system. You go see your person, you get fixed, and off you go to live a fulfilling life. Or the other side of it is these services are broken, and what are we doing as a country in the criminal justice capacity in terms of those things? So you've kind of highlighted societally that these issues are there for multiple reasons. So are our systems equipped, or is it the people in it, or is it the funding? Where is it? A bit of everything? What do you think, to round off?
I think like the approach in tackling these issues, the barriers are multiple.
Yeah.
And I think, funding is obviously, we don't do this kind of work for the money.
No.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, job. Yeah, for your personal income, yeah.
Yeah, we are not well paid.
Mm.
And particularly for the kind of stuff we hear and see on a daily basis. You know, you're asking people to talk about some of their worst times of their life. And that's heavy.
Yeah. Can re-victimise you, even though you're an offender.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so, you know, that's heavy on them. It's heavy on the workers, you know, because you're hearing traumatic stuff every day. And that second-hand trauma, if you're doing this job from a good place, you're going to have a lot of empathy. So it takes a lot to park that when you go home to your life.
Yeah, of course, 100%, yeah.
And yeah, I think for the amount we get paid, it's a big ask. So you've got to love doing it. You've got to love people. You've got to believe in people.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the job. You know, as much as we're kind of struggling out here in terms of we need all the services to be joined up. We need the people up there to be having a conversation and to make our job really possible, you know, with what we could achieve. The top end of being, you know, world leading in what we're delivering for people. We need that to come, for the voices of the people doing the job to be heard by commissioners, by the government. This is what we need. You know, this is where the gaps are.
So are you saying one of the things for change is for you guys to have more of a voice because you feel like you're not being listened to as service providers? It's just coming from the top, who might be out of touch with the market, should we say? Yeah,
and I think, you know, they will maybe say that they understand that these things are multifaceted and, you know, all the stuff I've mentioned, all the different things like housing and mental health, that they all need to be treated holistically. But what does that look like in practice? It's not working for everywhere. So how do we fix that? How do we work with local authorities to address that? Challenge some maybe more old school ideas within those systems. For example, I had a client who is currently in prison. Part of his tenancy agreement, which he signed, states that if you commit an offence, you can be evicted. Just for committing an offence. Not at the property.
Okay.
You know, nothing to do with his housing.
And this could be a petty crime, serious crime.
And that's happened, and he will be going to court to be
removed
evicted
from housing. Which
and
then just leaves him.
And then, this is the conversation I had, was, well, what's the move on plan for this person? With lots of other things going on, you know, that contribute to the problem. You know, is he going to be street homeless?
And just no
other option from the housing officer.
And no concern from them that's where he'll be. And then how does he survive? How does he have hope after that?
Yeah, challenging.
Yeah.
And then how do you, as a professional, on 25k, try and come up with solutions?
Yeah.
You know, around housing. I'm not a housing officer.
Yeah, you're not logistics in that sense. You're not part of the council that can
not social worker.
Ring a few people and find the answer.
But that's what you end up doing if you want to do this job. To the best of your ability. And I will say, despite all the barriers, all the challenges, seeing this part of society and being able to dip my toe in and allowing people, you know, allowing me to come in, people trusting me enough to let me into their space, I think is a privilege. Because not many people get to see this part of society. And that's, I think, on purpose. That's by design a lot of times, and I feel very privileged to work with these people and hear their stories and try and enact change with them. At them.
100%. And I think anybody listening, if there is anybody listening, can see your passion and the short space you've been in it, still see that you're a credible person within there. And I think you've highlighted some real kind of noteworthy or listen-worthy things, should we say. So Katie, thanks for brewing another episode of Coffee and Crime for us, where we've moved through some of the dark flavours of criminology. It's been fantastic to have you as a guest. We really appreciate your time, so thank you so much for coming in.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Guys out there and girls, thank you for listening. Please hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week for another episode of Coffee and Crime.